Fallon Out. I'm Raymond.
I'm John.
And we're back for another week.
Another week in this super special summer edition of Fallon Out. Is that what we're calling it? The Triple S or the SS? Or the super
probably
special?
Not the SS. I think we want to not do that, probably.
SSS. Super Special Summer. There we go.
That doesn't, there's no gray area about SSS.
Yeah. I mean, SOS, but I mean, we don't have any ships or anything.
That's police, right? They do that. Sending out an SOS
to the world. But yeah, somebody's going to be needing to send out an SOS here soon, and I think everybody knows which team that is, and we'll jump into that really, really quickly here.
The Golden State Warriors.
Golden State.
Down 3-1. They've been here before. That's what Draymond Green said. They've been in this situation before.
Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, 2016. And wow.
But it's weird. We haven't seen them here in a long time, and they genuinely don't look like the better team.
Yeah, no way. Without Kevin Durant, there's been talks, Warriors seem better, they flow better without Kevin Durant on the floor. There's more, there's better ball movement. Steph is really allowed to do his thing when Kevin Durant's on the sideline. But I think these past 4 games we've really seen, no. When you have an all-time great like Kevin Durant, you're not a better team without him. No. And they need him. They need him bad.
I think it's just with success you rely. It's sort of like it seems that KD became a crutch for the Warriors. They used to lean on him in big moments to just post up, get points, make shots when it mattered. And these Warriors are not the same Warriors that we saw 3-4 years ago winning championships, going 73-11. Or 73-9. 73-9, because there's only 82 games.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't as deep. Teams have played against them and know how to play against them now.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've seen this now, the same show for 5-6 years. And the Raptors' defense is just the best defense in the league. I think that after seeing them play against the Warriors, they are hands down playing the best defense that I've seen any team muster against these Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, you know what to expect from the Warriors, especially without Kevin Durant. And that's a testament to how good Curry and Clay are, because you know what you're going to see. Curry, Clay, and Green are the 3 main guys outside of Kevin Durant for the Warriors. It's just a matter of stopping them. And most teams can't do that, but the Raptors are showing here that they can, and they have done so on a consistent basis for more or less 4 games. I mean, obviously they dropped game 2, but they still played, pretty well.
Yeah, and they usually try to spice things up with a little bit of Andre Iguodala, and Boogie was supposed to be a big impact for them, but hasn't really shown anything for them in this series outside of game 2.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think we can delve into a little bit deeper right now.
Yeah, we're going to go through, since the last podcast, they've played game 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to go into a little bit of each, and then we'll talk about some of the narratives of this series. And then we'll, obviously move on to our classic segments towards the end. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's dive into game 2. I think the biggest thing here is, the Warriors use that classic third quarter run to really put the game away. It was kind of a toss-up in the first half. Both teams were playing pretty well. They would go on a run, then the Raptors would go on a run. But that 18-0 run to start the second half, it just seemed like one of the few times in this series that the Raptors looked out of sync both on offense and defense.
Yep, and I think what Nick Nurse said after the game and sort of going forward into games 3 and 4 was if they just make their open shots, which the Raptors had a bunch of in Game 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Warriors' defense was better, but not great by any means. And when you go on an 18-0 run, it has to matter in that the opponent that you're playing against is just not making shots. You're not playing great lockdown defense on every single possession, especially in the NBA, because in the NBA you're going to get opportunities to score. But Danny Green wasn't hitting. Kawhi Leonard, although he did have 34 points that night, finished 8 of 20, 2 of 9 from the 3-point line, with 16 of those points coming from the free throw line. And we just see Steph Curry playing well with 23 points, Klay Thompson playing well, even though that was the game he did get injured in. But it was a very well-balanced attack from the Warriors, with their top 3 players, Curry, Thompson, and Green, getting into double figures and having a huge relief from starter Boogie Cousins that game, putting up 11, 10, and 6, which is by far his best performance in the playoffs. And he got a lot of praise from ESPN commentators and analysts as well, even though those numbers are not really good compared to vintage Boogie back in Sacramento.
Yeah, I mean, it was clear from game 1 that we weren't going to see Sacramento DeMarcus Cousins, or even the DeMarcus Cousins we saw towards the end of the regular season for the Warriors. He just isn't 100%, and he's even less than 100%, especially coming back from the quad injury, on top of that Achilles injury that he's been dealing with. But I think from this game, what you saw was a good basketball player making good basketball plays and knowing his limitations, dealing with these injuries. It is, I do feel bad for Cousins. You can tell how much he wants to compete, and it's been a while since we've seen him play at that, maybe not superstar level, but certainly an all-star level.
I think it's like 2-3 years when he was in Sacramento, because that Achilles rupture was bad.
It was bad.
I think that's changed his game.
And I remember when he first signed with the Pelicans, and it was going to be AD and DeMarcus Cousins. People were like, "Oh my goodness, this is bringing back, the big boy, the old school."
Post him up.
Yeah, post him up. But also, both of the guys could face up as well. I was really looking forward to see what they were going to do, and then unfortunately he goes down with that injury. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him in the offseason. But game 2 really showed how he can still be an effective player without scoring, which is a sign of a great basketball player.
And he played a lot of minutes too, 28 minutes for him, which I think is the most that he's played in this series. He kept the level of mistakes down, only 3 turnovers. He did get close to fouling out with 5 fouls.
Well, that's how he plays.
But that's how Boogie Cousins plays. Gasol was a huge non-factor in this game, and which we've seen in Game 1 and then Games 3 and 4. Gasol is a huge factor for the Raptors in just getting those buckets that need to go down in crunch time. Whether it's Leonard, Gasol, Danny Green, any of their starters you can rely on to get buckets. But Gasol is sort of that guy that you can just put a lot more trust in, and he was completely shut down. And as we saw in Game 1, where Steph had to manufacture points from the free throw line, Kawhi was having to do that in this game with his ridiculous amount, 16 attempts from the line.
Made them all.
He did make them all, which is insane. And after this game, everybody was thinking, oh, here we go, Warriors in 5. It doesn't matter. Yeah, Klay Thompson's injured, who cares? Warriors in 5.
Yeah.
The Raptors are going to lose momentum. They're gonna pale in comparison. They're gonna back down to the Warriors' dominance that the Warriors have displayed over the past half decade. But that was completely incorrect.
Yeah,
completely wrong.
If you had told me, well, let's just say after Game 2 is 1-1. Going back to Oracle for 2 games, I'm saying, and I was under the impression that at the latest KD was going to come back Game 4. I really thought he was going to make strides, or, I think Game 4 was what the prediction was. He's now behind what people thought.
Once again, the Warriors haven't really come out with any timetable. So it's mainly just been speculation, but I was hearing people saying Game 3. I was hearing most people say Game 4. I think 75% of analysts were saying KD was supposed to come back around Game 4, and a few were saying Game 5. But he didn't show up in either, which we saw later on. And Game 3 was just an absolute basket case for the Warriors, that we all should have seen coming.
Yeah,
A few people did, but most people were just so high on the Warriors about who they are and that they just dominated everybody, and they sort of had the wool pulled over their eyes. Take us through a little bit of that one.
Yeah, and I think at the start of this game, people are saying once they saw the injury report, they saw all the people that were going to be down. It's like, this is Steph Curry. He has to somehow manufacture a win here. And if you're a Raptors fan, you're like, we should win this game, but it's the Warriors, so you're thinking maybe it's a trap game, something like that.
Because Looney's also out.
Yeah.
Looney, Thompson, KD, and Boogie's playing on a bum leg.
Yeah. How do you, like, this was Steph Curry, well, he scored 47, I believe.
47 points.
Yeah. 14 of 31. He gets 14 free throws. He hits pretty close. He hits 6 of 14 from 3. He was playing his heart out. Even in the fourth quarter, he is diving on the ball, diving on the ground to get loose balls. He is clearly tired. He's been running. Anytime on offense, anytime they would set up in the half court, he was running for like 20 seconds out of the 24-second shot clock just to try and get open. And the Raptors were clearly like, we'll let anyone else score, but we're not going to make it easy on Curry. And he still got 47. So I tip my hat to Stephen Curry for that performance. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's just not enough. You can't beat a championship caliber team like the Toronto Raptors with one true scoring option. Because their second highest scorer was Draymond Green, who's a very good player. Very good, sort of Swiss Army knife kind of guy, obviously.
Not the best scorer.
Yeah, not a go-to scorer traditionally. Yeah. So to have him as your, getting you 17 points, I mean, that's great, but you need someone else to sort of chip in, and they didn't really have that. I mean, Iguodala, 4 of 8, 11 points. Quentin Cook, 4 of 9, 9 points, but no threes, which is what really Quentin Cook sort of brought that 3-point accuracy in Game 2, which was a big help in that second half, that big third quarter for him. But in this game, it wasn't there. And yeah, I mean, that's what else can you say? There was no help for Steph Curry.
No, absolutely no help offensively. I mean, we did get a few good minutes from Quinn Cook. Bogut had a few good baskets, and they kept pulling within 7, I think 3 times in the second half. But clutch shot after clutch shot, either by Gasol or Leonard or Lowry, were just made and just cut all hopes for their comeback. But there was no help defensively. I mean, the Warriors let the Raptors score 123 points. All of their 5 starters and one of their bench players were in double figures. I'm talking about Siakam, Leonard, Gasol, Lowry, Green, and Fred VanVleet off the bench. And they hit 17 threes, shot 45% from 3.
Yeah.
And hit almost all of their free throw attempts, too. Mm-hmm. It was absolutely an insane performance, especially from Danny Green and Fred VanVleet. I thought were probably the MVPs of, other than Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, course. I mean, Kawhi's going to do his thing.
Other than Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green and Fred VanVleet just went off. Danny Green, 6 of 10 from 3, which were the only field goal attempts that he took. Which in my book, I don't really like, but hey, the NBA statisticians, that's efficient.
That is high quality.
Why take a 2-point shot?
It's only worth 2 points.
Yeah, it's only worth 2, where you can get a 3-point shot.
Yeah, it's just simple math. Yeah, Danny Green was absolutely incredible in this game, and it's been a series where he's certainly been better than the Bucks series. Yes. I would say in terms of scoring. But he still has not been great.
He's streaky. He's very streaky. Yeah. Game 4 was pretty bad for him.
Yeah.
He only made 1 shot.
But this was definitely his best game of the series. I don't think anyone will question that. And it was just, he was hitting the open looks he was getting, which hasn't been a guarantee like usual these past few, I guess, month or so. But he was even hitting the tough ones as well. Contested, hand in your face. It didn't matter. He was pretty much a bucket this whole game. And then Kyle Lowry as well.
Yep.
23 points, 5 of 9 from deep.
The stats don't look that great for Kyle Lowry, but I mean the 9 assists and just his presence as a floor general are great, and that sort of with that combined with Kawhi Leonard's personality just keeps their collective cool and allows them to play not being rushed, not playing with any, not panicking, and it allows them to just set up the next play and move on and just be a machine. Because Kyle Lowry, I remember I talked with you and stuff. We talk NBA a little bit. Kyle Lowry always used to come up short in big moments in playoffs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whenever he was playing, mainly whenever they were playing LeBron James. Yeah. There were games where he scored 0 points. Yeah. He started and scored 0 points against LeBron-led Cavaliers teams. I think he did it at least 2 or 3 times. All of that has been thrown out the window, and I think he's gotten the monkey off his back. Mm-hmm. And he's playing with a lot of heart, and he's playing really, really smart, too, which I'm very impressed with. This whole Raptors team is just playing very intelligently, and they know their scenarios, their situations when, okay, the Warriors are coming back, it's only 7 points, let's get a good shot, let's not settle for anything, they don't rush themselves, something that we see other teams like the Thunder do with Russell Westbrook, just, taking random shots. They are cool and collected, and hats off to Nick Nurse and all of them, because Game 3 they showed that.
Yeah, I think Kyle Lowry is, you always talk about great quarterbacks and great linebackers as being that, offensive or defensive coach on the floor or on the field. Kyle Lowry is the coach on the floor for the Raptors. It's clear that Nick Nurse, the identity that he wants for this Raptors offense in this Warrior series, is push the pace, no matter what, even off made shots.
Yeah,
they push the pace, and that's what Kyle Lowry has done. He gets the ball, he moves quick. If there's something there, he gets the ball to the open man. If not, he pulls it up and sets up a play or gives it to Leonard, who can get you a shot in isolation. But that's what I've really noticed. Even when he's not shooting well, which has, pretty much outside of this game, he hasn't really shot particularly well. But he has been a plus, even without his scoring.
Yep.
And, I think you look at this and you say, obviously Kawhi Leonard, if they win, is the Finals MVP. And there's a ton of guys that you could look to that have stepped up, and Kyle Lowry is one of the biggest ones. And I'm so happy for him because he's been through it all. He's been through the ringer. He's the OG Raptor now.
Yep.
And if he gets to hoist that trophy for Toronto, I think that's the pinnacle of his career. And he's been around for a while.
He's been around for a long time. And I think, as you said, this trophy will mean the most to him as on all the players on the Raptors team.
Absolutely.
It'll definitely mean the most for him. Another stat line before we leave Game 3. Serge Ibaka with 6 blocks.
Granted, some of those were goaltends. There was 2 that were pretty clearly goaltends, but still, defensively, great.
Defensively. So, Pascal Siakam was the big guy in Game 1. And in Game 3, it was a combination of Danny Green and Fred VanVleet. In Game 4, Serge Ibaka just came up huge with his performance off the bench.
Mm-hmm. I would say Game 3 and Game 4. Game 3 only scored 6 points, but defensively was great. Game 4, though, yes, absolutely 20 points on high efficiency.
Yep.
And he took, I remember there was one shot in the third quarter. I think he was on Cousins. He hit him with a little hezzy pull-up from 18 feet, and it was a bucket. I didn't know Ibaka had it in him. I didn't know he had that shot in his arsenal. But it was going down Game 4.
Game 4, a playoffs low for the Warriors with only 92 points after scoring 109 3 times in a row. Just going over some of the Warriors' stat lines, they were just abysmal other than Klay Thompson. Steph Curry even wasn't having that good of a game, only 2 of 9 from 3. He didn't really get to the line a whole lot, only appearing at the free throw line 8 times, making 7 of them.
8 is definitely good for Curry. He doesn't get to the line as much as, some of these other guys in the league.
But in other games, he's been there like 16, I think one time.
Yeah. No, in recent memory, I don't know what his regular season average is. I think it's right around 6, but something like that.
Andre Iguodala, also a big disappointment, especially after that ice 3 in Game 2.
Yeah.
To seal it for the Warriors. Mm-hmm. Only coming out with 3 points and 4 assists, or 4 rebounds. Mm-hmm. Pretty abysmal performance. And mainly just goes to show the Warriors' lockdown defense. And I think this was the biggest game of the series. I think this was the turning point. Don't you?
Yeah, I think for both teams, you look at the Raptors, you got to take advantage. I mean, maybe the Warriors, they're bluffing with KD. They know he's not coming back for the rest of the series.
Yeah, KD was not in this game, but Klay Thompson does come back.
Mm-hmm. But you don't know. You don't know with KD. He could come back Game 5. He could not come back at all. So you got to take advantage. You got to take advantage now. Yes, they're getting Klay back, but still, they're not 100%. You can't be content with 2-2 going back to Game 5. You can't feel good about that because
it becomes a 3-game series now.
It becomes a 3-game series, and I think once KD comes back, it's going to be real tough.
Yeah.
And then for the Warriors, they got to right this ship. They're down 2-1. Then they're going to have to go play Game 5 in Toronto. Who knows when KD is coming back. They need to win this game. They're at Oracle. They don't lose 2 in a row at Oracle, regular season or otherwise. They have to win. And they couldn't. They even, Klay and Curry back, they just couldn't get it done. And I think, Leonard coming out of the second half, and those 2 big threes and the steal, I think that set the tone for the third quarter. They weren't going to let that 18-0 run happen. Yep. And there's no defense for what Kawhi did, right? I mean, the second shot, at least, that was just a pull-up jump shot, hand in the face. Didn't matter. It was a bucket. You can't, that's just championship mentality. I know I can make this shot. I know I can make it over any defender. I'm going to take it and,
try and stop me.
Yeah, try and stop me.
And the Warriors just had absolutely no answer. I mean, and then when you're also looking at the Raptors, this was the biggest game for Kawhi Leonard by far, with 36 points, 9 of 9 from the free throw line, 5 of 9 from 3, including those 2 huge threes we just talked about. 12 rebounds, just an absolute baller.
4 steals, that claw mentality.
Mm-hmm. That he's suing.
Oh, yeah. He's Nike, right?
Yeah, he's suing Nike for it, which I think is pretty funny. And then the next thing that we look for is the role players. Like, who is going to help out Kawhi Leonard? Who's going to help him out in Game 4? We've seen Danny Green. We've seen Pascal Siakam do it. And in this game, it was Serge Ibaka and Pascal Siakam again. Just coming back for huge defensive and offensive performances. Serge Ibaka with 2 big blocks and 20 points off of 9 of 12 shooting, including 1 3. Pascal Siakam, although he didn't really have that big of a second half, had a huge first half to keep his team within, because the Warriors were up a little bit in the first quarter and stuff, and at halftime. Big minutes from him, big minutes from Serge Ibaka coming off the bench. And once again, just Warriors defense, there were some people going out saying, oh, the Warriors look tired and all that. We'll get to that in the section that we have coming up that I think everybody here loves. But there's no excuse for the poor defense night in and night out from that the Warriors have been playing. I mean, is it really that different with KD on the court, or because they have more size? They got Kevin Looney back for this game, but it didn't really seem to matter. The Raptors just seemed to do whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, yes, Kevin Durant brings elite length and athleticism on the defensive end. But But I mean, you got your big defensive centerpiece is Draymond Green, and ancillary to that is Andre Iguodala. I mean, even DeMarcus Cousins, with his hobbled leg, still is a great defender, or can be when he wants to be. I mean, sometimes he's shown that his effort has been maybe a little lacking from times, but yeah, you know, Kevon Looney, McKinney, maybe not Bogut so much, but he's kind of
Quinn
slower
Cook came
guy.
up really short. Sean Livingston didn't really add a whole lot. I think the story of this game was the turnover battle. 9 turnovers for the Raptors compared to 17 for the Warriors.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, how much do you put on the Raptors for playing great defense, and how much do you knock the Warriors for just playing sloppy?
The big guys for the Warriors played very sloppy. Draymond Green played angry and played sloppy. DeMarcus Cousins played really sloppy. He only played 15 minutes but had 4 turnovers and only 6 points. Andre Iguodala was not his usual self. And then the bench just didn't really add anything to the game. I mean, a few good moments from Kevon Looney. But other than that, it was just very, very sloppy offense, followed up by bad transition defense. And that's just been a story for the Warriors and a little bit for the Raptors this entire series. Both teams play at such a frenetic pace that it's hard to keep up with them every single night. But when you're in the finals, you should be just ready to go and ready to play it, no matter what. So I don't know what's going on with the mentality of this Warriors team. I don't know if it has anything to do with the mentality of the players or the coaching that Steve Kerr is doing. But something's wrong. And I think unless KD comes back, it'll just be the same story for Game 5. And I think Game 5 will probably just be a blowout. I don't see the Warriors playing very hard in Game 5 without KD.
I think the Warriors have competitors on their team. Draymond Green, competitor. I said it before. I'll say it again. He's a big time. Yeah. Steph Curry, love him or hate him, competitor. Klay Thompson, he's a quieter guy, but he has his moments. When he starts hitting those big shots, you can see it in his eyes and in his the bravado he brings on the court. Clearly wants to win. Iguodala, from the Sixers, always a bad boy. DeMarcus Cousins, this is his first finals appearance.
Yeah.
You think he wants to play? They all want to play. I don't think this team quits, right?
At least the starters.
Yeah. This organization has built a championship mentality. They seek to compete for championships. And it's really hard to do that year in and year out, let alone 5 years in a row being in the finals. Not only from a mental perspective, but just a physical perspective. You're playing so many more games. Every round is a 7-game series. I mean, granted, a lot of those were 4-game sweeps for the Warriors, especially since KD joined them. But,
yeah, the entire last year was just sweep after sweep.
You still have to go out there, play the games, compete for 48 minutes. And to do that, 3 extra months for the last 5 years, it's got to take a toll on you. But at the same time, it shows that they've been there before. They know what to expect, and they're all professional athletes. They're all conditioned the same way as the Raptors are. Yeah, they're tired. Everyone's tired.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. I don't think it comes from a place of we don't want to compete as hard as the Raptors want to compete. I think these are two teams that really want to win. Even with the rings that the Warriors have, I think both of these teams still really want to go out there, give their best effort. I don't think it's a case of, we're quitting on the team just because KD isn't back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You had an interesting stat, though, about Steph Curry and just how the Raptors have been guarding him this series. In terms of from the three-point line, we saw this last night, or a few nights ago in Game 4, where he only shot 2 of 9 from 3.
Yeah.
And take me through a little bit of just like how his performance has dropped.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Steph Curry is the best shooter in league history. Would you debate that?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't debate it at all.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anyone at this point that would say, what, Ray Allen. I mean, obviously a Hall of Fame talent, but
Or his father Dell, or
well, I wouldn't. I don't think anyone's arguing that. But Steph Curry, fantastic shooter. He had a good game. Game 3, he went 6 of 14. That's his best game by far. But if you look throughout the course of the series, he's 15 of 42, and that gives you 35.7%, which is about a league average. I mean, to give you context, Marcus Smart, not necessarily a knockdown three-point shooter, although this year he did improve. He hit 36.4%. So, Steph Curry, what the Raptors have done to Steph Curry is make him less effective than Marcus Smart. And that is an impressive thing to do. I love Marcus Smart, so this isn't me crapping all over Marcus Smart. I'm just saying for context.
At least from the three-point line. Because there's so many intangibles about Steph Curry where you just have to double him. You have to do all this stuff that you can't really do with Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
But the defense, the style of defense, the one in box,
the
box and one, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
How they've just been able to stifle him.
Yeah, I mean, my point wasn't to say that just Steph Curry and Steph Curry and Marcus Smart are being guarded the same way from the 3-point line. I mean, a lot of times teams will leave Marcus Smart open. What I'm saying is this is not a knock at Steph Curry. This is a testament to the Raptors' commitment on every single play. Because remember I was saying how Steph Curry was running for 20 seconds every single time on anytime the Warriors set up their half-court offense. Well, that means that Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, these guys are running with him. Mm-hmm. They're forcing him to keep moving. They'll set it, Warriors will set an off-ball screen for Curry to get open in the corner. It won't be there. He'll have to do something else. He'll set another screen, run. And you're constantly moving with him. And to just make those shots just a little bit more difficult, get like a hand just a little higher in his face. That's how you do that. And it's really easy to say, really freaking hard to do.
Yeah.
And they've done it for 4 games so far.
Which is absolutely insane and good for them. I mean, we've sort of gotten tired of the Warriors sort of winning everything, but it's very challenging to just do that to an all-star, Hall of Fame, greatest shooter of all time, to have him locked down for 4 games straight. Mm-hmm. Hats off to them.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I kind of want to talk a little bit about, obviously narratives have become a huge part of, sports what people want out of the game. It's no longer just, I'm going to watch the guy put the ball in the hoop. Yeah, there has to be a reason for it. There has to be an overarching narrative, like you're watching like a cable network TV show. I kind of want to go into it a little bit because I think there's 2 things happening here. On one level, you have like the actual game that's being played, Steph Curry and Kawhi going head to head and the actual players on the court. But on another level, you're looking at this as from the perspective of how is this going to impact Kevin Durant's free agency. So on the first level, you have Kawhi carrying the Raptors to greatness, sort of changing the narrative in Toronto of being this team that is perennially I can't say that word.
Perennially?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Being like a playoff contender, but never really being a championship contender in the East, to now being one away from hoisting the trophy, versus the Warriors are injured and tired. This isn't really the Warriors losing. This is just unfortunate circumstances that cost them a ring. And while the Raptors did what they had to do, it's not as impressive. And then on the second level, you have the Warriors need KD to win the finals, and this shows that. And maybe that's some unfinished business for KD. Maybe he wants to run it back, try and do it again, versus, KD doesn't want to actually play for the Warriors anymore. He's already moved on to the Knicks, that kind of stuff. Maybe, You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Because like this is going through the minds of the players right now, even though they have like a bigger task at hand, which is winning the next game. All of the ESPN big heads and analysts and statisticians and all the talking people and stuff at FS1 and all this, they're just like, well, the free agent deadline's coming up here at the end of the month. Where's everybody going to go? Who's going to be the next super team? Where is KD going to go? Where's Kyrie going to go? Where are people going to sign? Is New Orleans going to trade their number one pick? Highly unlikely, because I know everybody wants Zion.
mm-hmm.
And New Orleans is happy that they're probably going to get him. So it's weird trying to put ourselves in these players, these all-star players' shoes. Because the Warriors, obviously, as you said, they need KD to win this finals. And if I'm KD, do I stay for another season and risk being put in like a contract that I just don't like? Maybe it's too long. In order to try and prove myself again that, yeah, I'm the best player. Even the Warriors needed me to beat people in the championship game, or in the championship series. Or is KD just going to be... it wouldn't be the same KD as we saw a few years ago, moving and jumping ship to
Unless he joined the Raptors. Then that would be.
Oh my god!
I don't think there's no way he does that. But
I don't think the Raptors have the cap space.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if they sign Kawhi, if they sign Kawhi, they already are like over the cap space. So yeah. No way.
It would definitely be a strong move, and it would definitely shift the balance of power in the East. If he decides to move to the Knicks or the Nets or wherever whoever is considering having him on their team. The Nets seem like they're on the cusp of competing for maybe an Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
A guy like KD could put them there, like within a year. Now, whether he's going to play with Kyrie and all that, this is what everybody's talking about. And I think it does detract a little bit from what's going on in the series, because it makes it seem like, oh, these players have other things on their mind instead of winning. Which I understand. Like, there needs to be a little bit of that. But at the end of the day, the Warriors have a job to do, and it's a tough job, which is win 3 games, 2 in Toronto.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to sort of think about the narrative behind the game a little bit. But sometimes it's just like we don't want to get too caught up in it, because I think it just swells into storylines that are just big nothing burgers.
Yeah, and you start looking at all the players, every single action they take, exactly what does it mean, especially with social media now. We've turned into such, this is getting a little, we're not really talking about basketball now, but like...
stupid social media.
Yeah, but it's like we become like a voyeuristic like fans. We want to see everything that our celebrities or, sports team, athletes do. And combined with this narrative focus, you start seeing people, even in on ESPN, on Fox Sports, taking things out of context, trying to find meaning where maybe there isn't meaning, and speculating beyond what is probably responsible for a news outlet.
See Skip Bayless. Just search him up on any YouTube videos and just type in Skip Bayless wrong predictions, and you'll come up with like a 20-minute video.
Yeah. And, people always talk about, it's not their job to be right. It's their job to...
provide content.
Yeah, to draw you in, wrong or not. But there should still be a place where objective analysis is the focus. Mm-hmm. And that's hard. I think narratives get in the way of that so often, because objectivity doesn't leave room for those narratives.
And also keep in mind that back in the day, before the internet, before all this stuff, it was mainly like you root for the team where you're in, pretty much.
Yeah.
If you lived in Pittsburgh, you're a Pittsburgh fan. If you lived in Detroit, suck it up, you're a Lions fan, you know? You're going to get Barry Sanders here, you know? You're going to see a few highlights of him and then lose every year. But now with, internet, with a whole bunch of fantasy sports, what that has done to sports, and just how it's covered, how people think about it and operate. Like, I may root for the Steelers to win a game, but I'll root for Joe Flacco to have an amazing game against the Steelers defense. It would suck that I have Joe Flacco starting as a quarterback in fantasy football.
Yeah.
But it makes us think of everything. It makes us think of sports very, very differently. And you look at also ESPN. They're also doing one of, I think, the worst things that Sports Network could do, which is introducing politics and other outside things that we just don't want to hear about into their show.
Yeah, sports is a form of escapism, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a game. Like, there's no actual ramifications. I mean, obviously, it's these people's livelihoods, but for us as fans, there's no, like, if our team loses, it's not like anything bad happens to us.
Yeah, they're stroking that. Or well, not stroking, but they're walking that thin line between how involved are we going to get into like these players' lives, and how involved are we going to involve ourselves and our opinions into the game, and into our shows and all that kind of stuff. I think mainly most of that comes from corporate, or whatever their corporate overlords tell them to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just my opinion on what's going on. Talking about the narrative of the finals and the narrative behind all other games, sports, and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you put it pretty well. We're kind of living in this world where the narratives are the driving force of all sports and news media, and how that's sort of taken away from the most important part of the game. But let's move on to everyone's favorite segment. Who fouled out? And I'll go first.
You'll go first? All right.
I will go first because we were kind of already talking about this, so I think this is a natural segue. I am tired of all these quote-unquote analysts, Warrior apologists, taking away from what Kawhi is doing. Kawhi is playing some of the best basketball I've ever seen in the NBA playoffs. I go back to maybe what Dirk Nowitzki did, or what LeBron. I mean, LeBron does this more or less every year, but what Dirk Nowitzki did in 2011, he's playing incredible and doing it on incredible efficiency. He's carrying his team, and it seems like there's a lot of analysts that want to say, I talked about this earlier. Oh, the Warriors are tired. Yeah, guess what? Everyone's tired. Oh, the Warriors are hurt. You don't think Kawhi is hurt? You don't think Kawhi is dealing with injuries?
Fred Van VanVleet just lost a tooth.
Yeah, Fred Van VanVleet on the floor bleeding out. You could, when they showed him, it looked like a shot straight out of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
it's brutal. Basketball is a hard sport to play. It's a contact sport. I mean, even nowadays where you can't really touch people, you get hit, you get hurt. You got to deal with it. I mean, I understand. Like, obviously, I understand. The Warriors have had to deal with a lot of injuries. And losing your best player in Kevin Durant is tough. But that isn't an excuse for not being able to win. And that shouldn't be the main focus of this finals. It should be what the Raptors have done as a team. And I really dislike that perhaps if the Raptors do win, that there's going to be this vocal minority of people that are going to try and marginalize this incredible feat that Kawhi and the Raptors are doing. But what about you? Who do you got?
So I was pondering, as I so often do, because I am an intellectual. Yeah, of course. And I was thinking, okay, who do I foul out? Who do I foul? Is it Boogie because of his abysmal performances? But just like, no, that's too harsh. He's injured. Or do I foul out KD for not sitting on the bench with his team, and I can't really foul KD out.
Oh,
either.
wow. See, those were the two you told me, so you got a wild card. I don't even know.
It's coming out of the blue. You
Oh,
know?
okay.
I'm pointing to the stands. I'm ready to hit the ball. I'm Babe Ruth
Okay.
over here. All right,
All right.
you see? So, I decided I can't even foul out Steve Kerr because it looks like he's trying everything. Anything
God.
possible.
Who are you fouling out?
I'm fouling out the entire Warriors bench.
Oh,
'Cause
God.
they suck. And they haven't been able to... Because you look at the Raptors, Kawhi performs. And then you look over at the Warriors. Steph, Thompson, they all perform. Or at least they put up big numbers every game.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Raptors team. You have Siakam coming up, putting up big numbers. You have Danny Green coming up. You have Marc Gasol. Serge Ibaka coming back. And who do you have for the Warriors? No one. Quinn Cook has been, I think, the best bench player, and his best performance one night was 9 points. Like, come on. Somebody has to stand up. And there have been guys that have played on the Warriors team for a long time that haven't been doing anything, like Sean Livingston. Sean Livingston, night after night, has been, I think, one of the worst players on the court for the Warriors. And he got the start in Game 3. Andrew Bogut had a few good moments, but hasn't really done anything. And Andre Iguodala has been a huge disappointment outside of Game 2. So I'm fouling out the Warriors bench for not taking some of the pressure off Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Because there's way too much pressure on their shoulders. Mm-hmm. And there's a ton of pressure on KD's shoulders, and he's not even on the court. Because now everybody's just like, well, if KD doesn't come back, they're screwed. Well, somebody has to step up for the Warriors, and I think it's, a bit too late for them. So they should have stepped up much earlier, and I think it's, when it's all said and done, we'll be looking at the Warriors' depth, and I think there's a lack of experience on that bench, even though they have some veterans on there.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Bell also. It's just been a huge non-factor for them. And everybody was thinking that he was going to be a great addition to them as power forward and maybe to fill in for Andre Iguodala or Kevin Durant and stuff, coming off the bench. He's just been a huge non-factor.
Didn't even play Game 4.
Didn't even play. Game 3, he was abysmal. So, yeah, that's who I have fallen out.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. All right. Moving on to 3 big questions.
All right.
Let's run through this.
They're all similar.
Kind of quick. Yeah, we're looking at free agents. The 3 big free agents aside from Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Wait, he's not a free agent. He's trade. He's
gonna leave.
Yeah. But you look at Kawhi, Kyrie, and KD, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you, Kawhi. Regardless, don't take into account what happened. Well, actually, do take into account what you think is going to happen with the remainder of these finals.
All right.
Give me 2 places aside from Toronto where you think he could end up.
Oh, that's difficult. That is really difficult. To be honest, New York.
You think he could go to New York?
I think the Knicks. I think the Knicks would be an attractive option at first, but then once he gets there, just playing under James Dolan and all the Knicks just controversy and stupidity will, I think, piss him off. Mm-hmm. So that's an option. But then looking for a second option, I know the Nets are a popular option, but I think that's going to be a better place for the other 2 people that we're going to be talking about here soon. Mm-hmm. You have to look for places with cap space. And we've mentioned this team. They're thinking about getting rid of one of their big players that has a lot of capital. New Orleans could make a move.
New Orleans?
New Orleans could make a move.
Okay.
And sign Kawhi if they get AD off their books.
Mm-hmm.
If they can make a trade potentially, or have something sorted out, that could be a potential place to go for Kawhi. I don't know where else he would want to go.
Lakers? I mean, that was the big talk before he signed with Toronto.
Yeah, the Lakers could make a big move, but then, I mean, they have the space, right? They're going to have to let go of 4 or 5 players.
I mean, I think they're already planning on getting rid of most of their players. I don't know exactly what they do have room. They can definitely make room for a max contract, though.
Yeah, because, pretty much everybody on the Lakers other than LeBron is disposable.
Yeah.
I don't like saying that, but, the Lakers have treated them like that.
I mean, yeah. And a lot of them are on rookie deals as well.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much just spewing what the Lakers have been, pretty much implicitly suggesting about the rest of their players. But my question for you, and I know this is going to hit home.
Yeah.
But if Kyrie leaves the Celtics, which I think is a 90% chance, do you think he'll sign with the Nets?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the move they made, getting rid of Alan Crabb, getting him off the books for Taurean Prince. They sent a first round out, got a second round back. I mean, it's clear that wasn't a trade that was made because they thought they were getting a significantly better player. Taurean Prince has a very obvious ceiling that he is pretty rapidly approaching. He's nothing more than a competent role player, which isn't to hate on him or anything.
He's still a great basketball player. I watched him at Baylor.
Yeah,
he's a great basketball player.
He's just not by no means a guy that you go after specifically because you want him. This trade was clearly made to get some money off the books, and you don't make that trade unless you have some sort of verbal agreement, or maybe not verbal agreement, but a pretty good hunch that you're going to be getting a max contract player. And, when you got guys like Woj tweeting that Kyrie is serious about the Nets, Woj isn't always the best with the Celtics in terms of his accuracy in reporting, but it's kind of been circulating around the league. I mean, and again, this narrative of Kyrie being unhappy with the Celtics organization and vice versa, and him wanting to get out. It's compelling. I mean, before this, I wouldn't have really put a lot of stock into what the media has to say because we don't know. At the end of the day, we don't know. I mean, before, there's a lot of talk that Gordon Hayward would sign with the Heat at one point before the Celtics. That was what people thought was going to happen, or he'd stay in Utah. But then he came to the Celtics at the end of the day. So you don't know until it happens, but this is tangible evidence that perhaps he'll be on the Nets.
What do you think about the Timberwolves? Do you think that they could make a play? Or do you think that they just have too much money on too many players?
Because no one wants to play for the Timberwolves.
Karl Anthony Towns?
Who else?
Yeah. It's just a name. It's a team that I just popped in my head. I had to throw them out.
Yeah, no, I understand. It seems clear that Kyrie is the three option. Well, I guess maybe the Lakers, but I don't. He's got too big of an ego to go play with LeBron again. But who knows? Yeah, I mean, I think it's the Nets, the Knicks, or the Celtics right now. My confidence that he'll re-sign with the Celtics is at like 30%, which is an all-time low. And the last person we're going to talk about is KD, and we've been talking about him this whole show, but where do you think he signs?
I think it's, So it's either the Warriors or the Nets. I don't think he'll play for the Knicks.
What if Kyrie goes to the Knicks?
I think the only way Kyrie goes to the Knicks is if KD goes to the Knicks, because I think Kyrie and KD want to play together. So I think if KD were to leave Golden State, I think he would pack up and go to Brooklyn and play for the Nets and bring Kyrie with him. Mm-hmm. However, that's up to him and his decision, because if he leaves now after losing a final series and not really proving himself in the finals, I think there's a lot to say, and I think I would bet on him staying in Golden State for maybe another year or two. But contract talks, that means going through a whole bunch of other deals and maybe setting up a deal that's maybe not the best for him and doesn't allow him the most flexibility. So I would think if he comes back, wins a game, but in the end loses the series, I think he leaves and takes Kyrie with him from the Celtics.
You know what else I think is interesting that I don't know how many people are considering is right now Kevin Durant took a discount to play for the Warriors, right? And Klay Thompson did the same thing. I could see Klay doing another discount again. It seems like he wants to spend his career with the Warriors. But, I mean, do you think Kevin Durant would take another pay cut? There's
think
no
he would.
way, right? Because like this is his big opportunity to get a 5-year max deal.
What about the Wizards? Or do they just have too much stupid money on their books with John Wall?
Well, people were talking about, you get Scott Brooks. I mean, yeah, John Wall is, at the time wasn't as dead, and Bradley Beal. It's pretty enticing. That's a 3-headed monster for sure, at least on the offensive end. But they've been
Wizards are too far gone.
Yeah. I think the reason the Nets are such a interesting proposition for a lot of these superstars is they built this team without really a lot of picks. The Celtics sort of took them away in the Paul Pierce trade, and they've sort of built this team, and that shows a lot of good culture. And they're an up-and-coming team. They're a team, like you were saying, looking to compete for the Eastern Conference Finals in the next few years. So if you're a superstar, you're thinking, okay, if I go to this team, we might be finals contenders, but you look at Wizards, he joins the Wizards, they're, I don't know,
They're going to be the new Phoenix of the East, probably.
They would be, yeah.
Even Cavs will hold that title forever.
Even if you get John Wall back, I don't know if that's a finals contending team that they have.
Maybe not even Western or Eastern semis.
Yeah, if you add Kevin Durant, I mean, I don't know. It's just, yeah. It has a lot to do. I think Kevin Durant will always want to play for a contender. I mean, he showed that by signing with the Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants to play for rings, which is fine.
Which he's got 2 now.
Yeah.
So. Who knows? At
yeah.
the end of the day, who knows?
Yeah, at the end of the day, guess what we were doing? Speculating, which is fine. It's fun.
Yeah.
But we'll see. In the next few weeks, we'll come back. I think we should come back to our predictions, see how right or wrong we were. So, actually, let's do this right now. Okay. I'm going to just give you the 3 names. You tell me where they're going to end up.
All right.
And then Kawhi.
Toronto. He's going to stay in Toronto.
All right. Kyrie.
Brooklyn.
All right. KD.
Brooklyn.
All right. So you're saying, okay, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say Toronto because I think he's going to win and then stay. Kyrie, I'm going to stay with the Celtics. I got it. Look, I told you I was at like a 30%. I still got to go with it. KD, I'm saying he signs with the Knicks.
Ooh, all right.
So we'll see.
All right. I like that. But is that all we got?
That's all we got.
That's all she wrote.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you all so much. We'll be here next week again with our wrap-up of the finals.
Yeah.
Probably,
Presumably.
yeah.
Anything else?
I guess we're going to have to look forward to baseball.
Yay!
Or women's FIFA.
No,
baseball.
baseball. All right. See you guys.